Hello and welcome to our episode on properties of logarithmic equations. Now, the main thing that we're going to go over are these four rules: the product rule, the quotient rule, the power rule, and the equality rule. We are first going to look at the product rule. Now, what the product rule is basically stating is that any number that is multiplying inside of the argument of a log-based equation can be divided into two separate log-based equations that are going to be adding with each other. And you can switch back and forth between these two. You don't have to do one or the other. As you can see with this example, like with this example of log base b to c plus log base b to d is equal to log base b of c times d. Moving on to another example with whole numbers this time, we have the example of log base 2 of 3 plus log base 2 of 6 equals to log base 2 of 3 times 6, and that would essentially equal to log base 2 of 16 once you simplified it. Moving on to the quotient rule. The quotient rule basically works very similar to the product rule in terms of that instead of multiplication turning into addition, this time it's division turning into subtraction. So whenever you have two numbers that are dividing inside of the argument of a log-based equation, you can turn those into two separate log-based equations that are going to be subtracting with each other, with the denominator being the one subtracting. So as you can see with the example, we have log base b of x divided by y, turning into log base b of x minus log base b of y. As we can see with another example that's similar to the product rule, you can go back and forth. So log base b of x minus log base b of y equals to log base b of x divided by y. So you can switch back and forth. Now, an example with whole numbers would be log base 2 of 3 minus log base 2 of 4 is equal to log base 2 of 3 over 4. Moving on to the power rule. The power rule allows you to move the exponent of the number inside the argument of a log equation in front of the log equation itself. So as you can see with the example, we have log base b of x to the power of k. You can move that k in front of the equation. And if you want, you can switch k from being in front back into the argument where it would turn into the exponent of x. An example of this would be 5 times log base 2 of 2 equals to log base 2 of 2 to the power of 5. You took that 5 and placed it inside of the argument of the log equation. And if you were to simplify that, it would equal to log base 2 of 32. Now for our last rule would be the equality rule. And this one is self-explanatory, really. It basically states that any number in a log equation that has the argument equal to 1 is always going to equal 0 no matter what b might be. It's always going to equal 0 when the argument is 1. And it also states that when the log base is equal to the argument, so log base b of b, those two are the same, it's always going to equal 1. So b could be whatever number you want. As long as the argument is the same, it's always going to equal 1. And the reason why this happens is because when you try and write the log equation into exponent form, you're basically going to get b to x or b to the power of x equals b, and in order to find x, you would put 1. And same thing applies to the other one. If you try and do b to the power of 0, no matter what b might be, it's always going to equal 1. Now, some conditions to the log function is that b will always have to be greater than 0. Otherwise, if you try to write it in exponent form, the equation would be literally impossible. And also, b cannot be 1. Because when you put whatever exponent to 1, if you multiply 1 by 1, however times you want, it's always going to equal 1. So, and the second condition is that x must be a real and positive number, because if you try to write it in exponent form, it would be impossible if you had a negative number or anything beyond that. So make sure if you don't get that as a result, because then it would mean that you did something wrong. And that's basically all we got. If you still have doubts, please leave a comment. We would love to help you. We would also appreciate it if you drop a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.